Google's investment to accelerate nation's digital transformation. FedEx deviation from course, main reason of Lumut helicopter crash. Good evening and salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight and I'm SAHIH Samshuddin. Google's $2 billion investment is proof that the government's clear planning, in addition to Malaysia's economic strength and resources, is attractive to existing and new investors. Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim said this places Malaysia as one of the leading countries in the provisions of support services for digital technology-based services. Google announced an investment commitment of 9.4 billion ringgit in Malaysia, including the development of Google's first data center in Malaysia and the Google Cloud region to meet the growing demand for cloud services, both locally and globally, as well as an artificial intelligence literacy program for students and educators in this country. In a post on Facebook, Dato' Sri Anwar said Google's investment will support the government's agenda in accelerating the country's digital transformation. This investment, he said, was expected to have a multiplier impact on the Malaysian economy of around $3.2 billion and the creation of 26,500 jobs by the year 2030. The Premier also revealed that in a virtual meeting with Google's senior management on 6 May, he emphasized that in addition to support for the use of AI in general, strategic cooperation should be focused in the fields of education, health and agriculture. This is important to ensure that Malaysia can take advantage of the latest technology-based skills and approaches. Meanwhile, Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said Google's latest announcement will significantly advance the digital ambitions outlined in New Industrial Master Plan 2030. He added the Google investment will be in the Sime Darby Elmina Business Park in Greater Kuala Lumpur. The data center and cloud region will empower manufacturing and service-based industries to leverage AI and other advanced technologies to move up the global value chain. On a related note, the Education Ministry said Google's investment will provide added value to efforts to improve the artificial intelligence AI literacy program for the benefits of students and teachers. The ministry, which welcomed Google's announcement, said the investment would also meet the growing needs of cloud computing. The ministry said initiatives like the ongoing Gemini Academy and Experience AI are in line with the digital education policy, which aims to produce a digitally fluent and competitive generation. It said this is implemented through the improvement of knowledge, skills and values of students, educators and education leaders, the provision of quality digital infrastructure and content, and the active participation of strategic partners in an integrated and comprehensive manner from preschool to high school. In this context, the ministry said cooperation with technology leaders such as Google is crucial to enhance the implementation of the digital education policy and ensure the success of national education reform efforts. Meanwhile, the Communications Ministry meeting with Meta Platforms Inc. and representative of other social media platforms scheduled to be held in Singapore next month will discuss, among others, the Madani government's commitment to combat fake news and disinformation. Minister Fahmi Fadil said the meeting would take place during his official visit to the Republic in mid-June.
Saya harap mereka dapat bersama-sama dengan pihak kerajaan untuk pastikan dan jamin keselamatan dalam talian untuk kanak-kanak dan keluarga. Apa yang kita inginkan adalah online safety to make internet safe for children and families. Saya percaya sudah pasti pihak Meta sama ada dalam Facebook, Instagram dan juga WhatsApp mereka sehaluan dengan kita dalam hal ini.
Fahmi was met after attending the ministry's monthly assembly in Putrajaya. In his speech earlier, Fahmi also called on the ministry's staff to fully utilize artificial intelligence to enhance work productivity. He said that the adoption of AI would not only improve individual performance but also facilitate service delivery as expected by the public. The tragic crash involving two Royal Malaysian Navy TLDM aircraft on 23rd April was mainly caused by the Fennec helicopter deviating from its designated altitude and course and entering the flight path of the AW139 helicopter. TLDM Chief Admiral Tan Sri Abdul Rahman Ayub said the Board of Inquiry also concluded that the secondary factor of the crash was the channelized attention of the AW139 helicopter crew who were focused on changing course, thereby limiting their reaction to avoid the collision. However, Tan Sri Abdul Rahman said the Board of Inquiry's report did not attribute the crash to human error since the Fennec helicopter was not equipped with a black box.
Laporan analisis kotak hitam pesawat Home AW139 digunakan untuk membantu siasatan. Manakala bagi pesawat Fennec, pembuktian profil penerbangan adalah melalui simulasi penerbangan menggunakan pesawat sebenar. Kerjasama, kepakaran dan juga pandangan dari pihak OEM iaitu Leonardo Helicopter dan Airbus Helicopter telah dirujuk bagi membantu siasatan.
He also said the autopsy reports confirmed that there were no issues of hypoglycemia or signs of fatigue among all the aircrew and no use of prohibited substances. He added that the samples of oil, lubricants and fuel from both helicopters were tested and confirmed to be normal. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim today announced a 100 ringgit book vouchers to students from tomorrow. He said the vouchers will be given to all Year 4 primary school pupils all the way to the Tier 3 level students in stages.
Very fulus. Tapi kalau untuk anak-anak belajar, baik di sekolah kebangsaan atau sekolah Arab atau sekolah Cina, sekolah Tamil, universiti, kita boleh teruskan dengan voucher RM100 itu, dan untuk tahun ini kita mulakan dari darjah 4 untuk mengurangkan tekanan kepada kewangan kerajaan.
In his speech at the launch of 2024 Kuala Lumpur International Book Fair at World Trade Center Kuala Lumpur, the Prime Minister said guidance would be issued on the books that the students could buy with the vouchers.
Jadi kita akan beri juga panduan. Ada buku-buku, novel-novel klasik. Ada yang disebut dari Hang Tuah. Ada novel-novel oleh sastrawan terkemuka. Semasa ataupun Shah Nun atau Anwar Ridwan, ya. Jadi ada yang senarai yang kita usulkan. Kemudian ada jodol-jodol baru tentang digital. Saya nak anak-anak kita semua faham asas tentang artificial intelligence, kecerdasan buatan. Jadi kita akan anjurkan senarai buku-buku supaya sebahagian daripada wang itu digunakan untuk membeli buku-buku yang diusulkan, dan sebahagian mungkin kita beri kelonggaran untuk anak-anak memilih sendiri.
The Prime Minister also requested Education Minister Fadilah Siddiq, Higher Education Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir to provide mechanism to claim the vouchers so that it can be used as early as 2 p.m. tomorrow at the ongoing boot fair that will run until the Sunday. Still ahead in our business segment, Capital Markets Malaysia unveils sectoral guidance for SME. The Higher Education Ministry, KPT, needs to approach and constantly hold discussion with industry players to ensure technical and vocational education and training Tvet graduates find a place in the job market, including in the private sector. Its Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir said this was to make it easier for relevant parties to identify the fields required by the industry.
Mengadakan perbincangan Sebab itu yang pastinya, yang mustahaknya ialah kena ada perbincangan, dan antara itu kerajaan telah mewujudkan satu bentuk kerjasama melibatkan universiti dan industri, dan ini mustahak, dan kita kena mendekati juga industri-industri ini kerana kita nak kena pasti apa bidang-bidang yang mereka perlukan.
The media today reported that the Malaysian Employers Federation said only 39.6% of private companies hired Tvet graduates. The minister said the Tvet graduates produced by the country are of high quality, since every program and subject that is implemented at every institution of higher learning would need to get approval from the Malaysian Qualification Agency. Malaysia is strategically positioned to capitalize on the artificial intelligence AI boom and emerge as the premier data center hub in ASEAN. Digital Minister Gobind Singh Deo said the AI boom has initiated a global race for computing, accelerating demand for land, energy and water resources to power next-generation AI data centers. He said Malaysia can capitalize on this trend with its abundance of resources and safe geographical location for investors seeking diversification. Additionally, he said Malaysia has demonstrated the right policy mix over the years, coupled with strong execution, to emerge as a global leader in the digital infrastructure space. As such, in terms of connectivity, he said, Malaysia boasts an award-winning 5G network helmed by Digital Nasional Berhad, an agency under the Digital Ministry. He noted that Malaysia's 5G coverage has reached over 80% of populated areas and recorded 11.9 million 5G service subscriptions, representing an adoption rate of 35.4% in just under 3 years since its formation. On the regulation area, the minister said Malaysia is actively involved in shaping the Digital Economy Cooperation at the ASEAN level on the highly anticipated Digital Economy Framework Agreement. Capital Markets Malaysia (CMM), an affiliate of the Securities Commission Malaysia, launched its sectoral guidance featuring enhanced environment and social disclosure guidelines for small and medium enterprises (SMEs). The sector guides would provide disclosure guidance to SME in the supply chain of 5 significant sectors in Malaysia's economy. The sectors include energy, transport and logistics, construction and real estate, agriculture and manufacturing. CMM said the guidelines are an extension of the Simplified Environmental, Social and Governance (ESG) Disclosure Guide released by CMM on 18 October last year to provide SMEs with a streamlined and standardized set of ESG disclosures expected of companies operating within the global supply chains. It said Malaysia is the first country to have issued disclosure guidance for SMEs aligned with the various global and local ESG disclosure frameworks to encourage more SMEs to adopt ESG reporting best practices as the nation collectively strives to transform and elevate its economy locally and internationally. CMM also said the newly introduced sectoral guidance was developed in response to feedback gathered by the agency during its public and market consultations with multiple stakeholder groups. Businesses are expecting a favorable environment in the second quarter of this year. This is backed by a marginal positive confidence indicator of 0.7% compared to 4.2% in the previous quarter. Chief Statistician Dato Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzir Mahidin said the industry sector continues to be optimistic about business performance, with a confidence indicator of 5.3% for the corresponding quarter compared to 0.6% in the first quarter. The improved outlook is influenced by 3 subsectors: mining, manufacturing and electricity and water, which predict encouraging business conditions in the reference quarter. However, he said the construction, wholesale and retail trade and services sectors foresee challenging business conditions in the second quarter. Business confidence in the construction sector weakened, with the confidence indicator recording a 14.8% decline in the reference quarter. Respondents within the wholesale and retail trade sector expect a less favourable business outlook, with the confidence indicator of 4.1% weaker in the second quarter compared to a 4.7% increase in the last quarter. The services sector also foresees a less desirable business situation, with a confidence indicator of 0.9% lower as compared to an 8.6% rise previously. The 5 major oil companies participating in the Subsidized Diesel Control System 2.0 (SKDS 2.0) collectively provide 1 million fleet cards, ensuring a continuous supply. Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Dato' Armizan Muhammad Ali highlighted that these cards expedite the application process for 410,000 vehicles across 23 types of goods transport under SKDS 2.0.
Kalau dulu peringkat awal pelaksanaan, syarikat-syarikat minyak memberikan komitmen bahawa fleet card itu boleh diproses dan dikeluarkan dalam tempoh 4 ke 6 minggu. Tetapi ada syarikat-syarikat minyak yang kini boleh menyediakan fleet card tersebut dalam tempoh kurang 7 hari.
The 5 main oil companies involved are Petronas, Shell, Petron, Caltex and BHP. He also disclosed the collaboration between the Ministry, the Road Transport Department and the Companies Commission of Malaysia to integrate the MySeaCup system, streamlining verification processes.
Dengan adanya pengintegrasian sistem ini, maka pemohon-pemohon syarikat-syarikat tidak perlu lagi untuk memuat naik setiap dokumen. Mereka hanya key in nombor pendaftaran tersebut, maka salinan itu boleh diperoleh dalam sistem dan serta-merta sekiranya lengkap, kelulusan boleh diberikan dalam tempoh immediately.
The minister urged eligible companies in the land transport sector not to delay applying for SKDS 2.0 approval letters and fleet cards. Malaysia remains as one of the top 3 preferred travel destinations for Chinese citizens. Proof of this is the surge in the number of arrivals from the Republic, which is approximately 216% for the first quarter of the year compared to the same period in the year 2023. According to Malaysia's ambassador to China, Dato' Norman Muhammad, an estimated 270,000 tourists from China visit Malaysia each month. As such, the ambassador suggested Malaysian airlines to explore the potential for new routes, especially to secondary cities in China, to further stimulate the tourism sector between the two countries.
Sebab saya ada dapat sebenarnya banyak request daripada provinsi lain dari China ni, bila wakil-wakil mereka datang buat kunjungan pada saya. Kita ada request daripada Wuhan, daripada Chongqing. Biasanya nak travel ke Malaysia ni, mereka kena transit, datang dulu ke Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen.
He added many Chinese tourists prefer visiting Kota Kinabalu in Sabah, Pulau Pinang, Malacca, Kuala Lumpur and Sarawak due to the unique attractions in these states, which are rarely found in China, particularly water sport activities and the unique local culture. Meanwhile, Dato' Norman said Malaysia's total trade with China expanded by 5.9% year-on-year to 151.06 billion ringgit in the first 4 months of this year compared to the same period last year. He said the country's exports to China were recorded at 58.6 billion ringgit, with electrical and electronics E&E products being the biggest share of exports at 40.5%. At the same time, Malaysia's imports from China rose by 11.6% to 92.46 billion ringgit, mainly comprising E&E products, machinery, equipment and parts, as well as chemicals and chemical products. He noted that last year, Malaysia's total trade with China, the nation's largest trading partner for 15 consecutive years, had declined by 7.3% to 450.84 billion ringgit. Taiwan-based semiconductor companies are optimistic about business prospects in Malaysia's semiconductor industry. This is based on the nation's solid foundation and thriving semiconductor ecosystem that offers potential long-term growth. Semiconductor integrated circuit design solutions provider Fusion SIP Technology Private Limited said it is planning to open its first design service centre in Malaysia this year. The company is in the midst of surveying potential locations that would house its centre in the country. The company added that it also plans to collaborate with local universities while at the same time providing the students with employment opportunities and higher local workers to strengthen its presence in the country. Meanwhile, another Taiwanese semiconductor player, Delta Electronics Incorporated, hopes its newly launched product Dissect solution will be widely used in semiconductor facilities in Malaysia. Dissect is Delta's comprehensive solution for semiconductor equipment communication and control, complementing the company's existing solution products. Pulau Pinang will present its proposal to return 20% of the tax revenue collected from the state by the federal government at the upcoming Menteri Besar and Chief Ministers meeting in July. Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow said the proposal will first be approved by the Pulau Pinang State Executive Council before moving forward. Elaborating further on the matter, Chow said he will bring up the discussion from the State Legislative Assembly because they want to see changes in revenue sharing with the federal government. He also said that experts think the proposal could be implemented through an amendment to the federal constitution or a policy change by the Prime Minister with agreement from all Malaysian states. Yesterday, he asked the federal government to review the tax distribution system to return 20% of tax revenue collected to the state to facilitate more effective development programs and projects. Coming up in our foreign segment, Hong Kong convicts 14 democracy campaigners of subversion. "14 Hong Kong pro-democracy activists were found guilty and 2 were acquitted in a landmark subversion trial that critics say could deal another blow to the city's rule of law and its reputation as a global financial hub." Security was tight around the High Court ahead of the trial, with several foreign diplomats in attendance. Scores of police officers and vehicles patrolled the area. The verdicts in Hong Kong's biggest trial against the democratic opposition come more than 3 years after police arrested 47 Democrats in dawn raids at homes across the city. They were charged with conspiracy to commit subversion under a national security law imposed by China. Sentencing will come at a later date for those found guilty, with prison terms ranging from 3 years to life for this offence. Those convicted include former Democratic lawmakers Leung Kwok Kung, Lam Cheuk Ting and Helena Wong. The 2 pro-democracy activists that were acquitted were barrister Lawrence Lau and social worker Lee Yu Shan. A volcano in western Indonesia erupted today, spewing an ash cloud 2 kilometers into the sky as authorities warn residents of potential dangers from coal lava flows. Mount Merapi in West Sumatra province erupted at 1:04 p.m. local time, spewing thick grey clouds of ash 2 kilometers above its peak. The volcano, one of Indonesia's most active, has been at the second highest alert level of the country's 4-tiered system for weeks, with authorities advising people to stay outside a 4.5-kilometer exclusion zone around its crater. The National Disaster Mitigation Agency said local residents are advised to be vigilant over threats of coal lava flows following the eruption. Coal lava is a mixture of volcanic materials such as ash, sand and pebbles carried down a volcano's slopes by rain. Heavy rains this month caused volcanic debris to flow into districts near Merapi, killing more than 60 people, destroying dozens of houses and damaging roads and mosques. Over in India, extreme temperatures across the nation are having their worst impact in the country's teeming megacities. Experts warn that the heat is fast becoming a public health crisis. India is enduring a crushing heat wave with temperatures in several cities sizzling well over 45 degrees Celsius. Temperatures readings in the capital New Delhi rose into the high 40 degrees Celsius yesterday, with power usage in the city, where the population is estimated at more than 30 million, surging to a record high. Research Institute Climate Trends expect a greater number of hotter days, prolonged dry spells and less rainy days as weather patterns continue to change due to the increased human emissions. It described heat wave as the single largest threat to India's well-being, adding that recent temperatures in Delhi and the surrounding region are proof that the issue is now about survivability. India is no stranger to searing summer temperatures, but years of scientific research have found climate change is causing heat waves to become longer, more frequent and more intense. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reported that the amount of humanitarian aid entering the Gaza Strip has shrunk by 67% since Israel began its military operation in Rafah on 7th May. The agency said the amount of food and other aid entering Gaza, already insufficient to meet the soaring needs, has further shrunk, with a daily average of 58 humanitarian aid trucks reaching Gaza between 7 and 28th May, compared with a daily average of 176 aid trucks between 1st April and 6th May. It said these figures exclude private sector cargo and fuel. The agency reported that no aid entered Gaza on 27 and 28 May through the temporary floating dock recently built by the United States military after a section was damaged due to bad weather conditions. Combined with intensified hostilities and access constraints within Gaza, this has gravely affected humanitarian operations and the ability of people to access life-saving aid. According to the health cluster, there are very limited medical supplies available within Gaza, and this is placing major constraints on health service delivery. A gunman shot dead an aspiring mayor at a rally in the southern Mexico, marking a bloody end to campaigning in a country expected to elect its first woman president this weekend. According to an official count, more than 20 people running for local office have been murdered during what has been a particularly violent election season in the Latin American nation. The latest victim was Alfredo Cabrera, a mayoral candidate for an opposition coalition who was gunned down in the southern state of Guerrero, causing chaos and panic among people attending the rally. Bearing a major upset, a woman appears almost certain to be elected leader of the world's most popular Spanish-speaking country when millions of Mexicans vote on Sunday. Ruling party candidate Claudia Sheinbaum, who is leading in polls, has pledged to continue outgoing left-wing President Andrés Manuel López Obrador's social programs and strategy of tackling crime at its root, a controversial strategy that he calls hugs, not bullets. Criminal violence that has left more than 450,000 people dead since 2006 will be among the major challenges facing Mexico's next leader, along with managing migration and delicate relations with the neighboring United States. That concludes this evening's Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, Google's investment to accelerate nation's digital transformation. Do tune in tomorrow. World Today coming out tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. on TV2. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm SAHIH and thanks for watching.